Hello. Welcome to the Goods. I know that you have been looking at us wearing our Fly Goods podcast gear and wondering where can we get those. Well, guess what? We have the answers for you. We have it here, Teespring. Go to Teespring and you will find all of this glorious merchandising, from t-shirts to mugs to, well, there's other toys, but we can't talk about that now. Go to Teespring, enjoy our memorabilia.
And we're back. All flash and no substance.
No substance!
Yeah, he would get that in right now. All right, so this is one of the few top fives that I've done by myself, but it was a topic that I wanted us to do together, but he said, nah, he wasn't going to do it. So I'm going to do this one by myself because I thought it was a great topic, especially since we just come off of doing top 5 Netflix live action TV shows. I figured we'd do this week top 5 Netflix animation shows. So I went with stuff that, like we said previous in the video before, Netflix had to at least pay for one season. It can't be something that they just threw on the streaming service like a Seinfeld, or since we're talking animation, like an Attack on Titan, or I don't know why I'm forgetting a whole bunch of things, but things that it's not a Netflix original. It had to be something that they paid for a season, at the very least one. Or no, Legend of Korra or Avatar Bender, Avatar the Airbender or something like that. They had to at least pay for one season in order for it to make this list. All right, so we're gonna go start with my number 5. All right, so this one is an actual anime, but it's only available on Netflix because I believe Netflix paid for the dubbing of it, but I believe it was aired in Japan in Japanese, obviously. But the only English version is available only on Netflix because they pay for that, and it's an anime called Kaguyauri. Now, I know you're saying, it's like, what the hell is that, Terrence? It is an anime about a girl with a gambling obsession to the highest degree. So much for is that she will gamble on anything, to where that's the way she kind of gets her kicks. Where the more stakes that's in the gambling part of it, or the more that's risked, that she will just continue to gamble even if it's not in her favor in order just to feel that high of gambling. It's a really fun, cool, addictive TV show as an anime. You'll really enjoy it, and you'll find yourself thinking the premise is stupid, but as each gambling game goes on, you're more and more invested, and you expect her to lose every time. Spoiler alert, sometimes she does lose. So that's what really keeps you invested, to where you're not saying, well, she's gonna win, she's gonna figure out how to do it. She loses sometimes, and you kind of see the repercussions that happens when she loses. If you haven't heard of it, check it out. It's based on a manga, and if you're not into anime, this would be a great one for you to get into anime, especially since it's available for you on Netflix. So that's gonna bring me to my number 4. Number 4! This one is by Matt Groening. I think that's how you say his name. The creator of The Simpsons and Futurama. It's called Disenchantment. Now, this is on season 4, I believe, on Netflix. And it is a little bit more mature than your Futurama. And definitely a lot more mature than your Simpsons. And based in medieval times. And you have a character that's a king who has a daughter who's not willing to accept her role at being able to take over the kingdom, but it has all of that classic Simpsons and Futurama comedy that's in it, to where they make dumb little jokes, they make kind of jokes about what's going on today, but somehow it's still based in medieval times. She has her little sidekicks. It's a really, really fun show, and if you want something that's a little bit more mature than what you get on The Simpsons, this is a great way, while still feeling this almost in the same universe as The Simpsons, if it was based, maybe 500 years ago. Like I said, they're on season 4. You'll really enjoy it. Number 3! All right, so number 3. This one technically has 2 seasons, but I enjoyed both seasons, and it follows our original show from the 80s, and that's Masters of the Universe Revelations. Now, I know when the first season came out, it got a lot of pushback because of like the changes that they made. But if you actually watch the season play all the way through and even into the second season, this show pays homage to the original television show while bringing back all of the old characters, or the majority of the ones that you remember, even some smaller ones that you maybe remember back from the day. And kind of telling you where their story continues on with, and we really get more of a conclusion about the Sword of Power and Castle Grayskull and Prince Adam and He-Man and Skeletor and everything. We get more steps forward than we ever got in a television show, and they kind of reveal some things that had always been more along the lines as rumor and kind of fan theories. We get some real conclusions and answers to a lot of things from their previous show. You really will like it if you're a fan of if you're a child of the 80s and a fan of the original television show. I will tell you right now, there is no She-Ra in it. I thought they should have mentioned her at some point. Maybe if we get a season 3, maybe we'll kind of cross back on to what happened to She-Ra that's going along as his twin sister that they kind of glossed over in this show. But it's a really good show. Check it out if you're a big He-Man fan. So that's gonna bring me to my number 2. Naruto! I went with Castlevania. So if you're a big fan of Castlevania and you know the lore in Castlevania, this one is gonna really be up your alley because it's gonna deal with a lot of the pre-setup from all of the endless sequels of Castlevania, when they talk about like the Belmont legacy and how it kind of unfolded. And this show is gonna talk about your Alucard and Dracula, and even some of the side characters that you dealt with, Death and so on and so forth, where the weapons came from and the lineage of the Belmonts. This show is a really good show for people who are very big fans of the lore and the video games of Castlevania. I will tell you, the very first season was about 4 episodes and it's really slow, but the premise of it really gets you at least invested to kind of see where it goes. When they get to 2, it starts to pick, the season 2, they start to pick up. When they get to season 3, you are like on a roller coaster, and it really feels like a video game once they get to season 3, and it all pays off in season 3. So if you, once again, child of the 80s and a big fan of Castlevania, well, Castlevania's kind of going through the decades. So if you're a fan of Castlevania, you'll definitely want to check this show out. So that's gonna bring me to my number 1. Number 1. This is a show that I'm a big fan of because we all went through this in our whole life, and everything that happens in this show is based on moments that, no matter if you're male, female, old, young, and it's called Big Mouth. And Big Mouth is a show about it's a coming of age show about puberty. And they touch on everything. And even when you're like, nah, they don't touch on everything. No, they literally touch on everything. They even touch on touching yourself. They touch on periods. They touch on masturbation. They touch on premature ejaculation. They touch on first kisses. They touch on dry humping. They touch on everything that you can think of when you were a young kid and your body was changing. As a matter of fact, that's the theme song, I'm Going Through Changes, and how your brain switched and the things that you thought about. I believe it finished 5 seasons, and it's gonna have a spinoff that's on Netflix soon, called HR. But if you have not seen it, and it took me till they were on season 3 to even become aware of it, and I just binge watched the first 3 seasons, and I could not wait until they kept putting out the next 2 seasons. It did finally wrap up in season 5, but like I said, it did spin it off. It is a great thing to watch. Obviously, do not show your children this, even though you feel like, as you're watching it, it'd be a great way for them to say, kind of relate to it, but it is way too mature for you to show your young children this, even though it seems like it'd be like, yeah, they should see this, but no, they shouldn't. That is my top 5. So that's gonna bring me to my honorable mentions. So for honorable mentions, I actually put the Cuphead show. My daughter really loves the Cuphead show, and I've watched it. It's a great play on the old Fleischer animated cartoons that were back in the day, from the old Bugs Bunny stuff and Looney Tunes. It's a great play on that, keeping the same type of humor, the practical jokes that they do in the show. It's really good. I thought they were gonna kind of like age it up a little bit to make it more for me, but they really keep it more PG. And like I said, my young daughter really likes it, and it's a good show. That's why I did it. I also had on here the Transformers show, which was okay. I did not love it. It was okay because they made some changes in here that I did. They made some changes that I thought were really good, and then they made some changes that I didn't really like. So it's just okay. But if you're a big Transformers fan, you'll probably dig it. Other thing that I have on, he does rule on here. Optimus sucks on that show. Paradise PD. We keep making jokes about Paradise PD because it's the spiritual successor of Brickleberry, and so much so that Brickleberry actually shows up on the actual TV show as the other town that they're kind of dealing with. It's a great show. If you're a fan on Comedy Central when Brickleberry came out, Paradise PD is basically Brickleberry just continued on. It's very, very funny. You'll absolutely love it. The characters are just carbon copies of all the characters from Brickleberry. Other honorable mention that I have on here, and this is for Art because he kind of got me into it. I really like season 1, but I really didn't care for season 2, and it's Love, Death, and the Robots. It's a bunch of short stories or little mini movies about it's animated stories, and they somehow tie in. It's almost kind of like Black Mirror. That's a great way to say it, because they have a premise that pops up at the very beginning with little codes, kind of like Black Mirror does, and then the movie or the little animated thing, mini short that comes out will tie into it. It can get really, really dark or really, really funny, and it's kind of across the place. It's all like anthology-esque. First season was amazing. Second season was So if you're into animated type anthology shows like your Batman, the animated Batman one that they did, or the Star Wars one they did just done, stuff like that, you'll definitely dig this. Or even the Animatrix, that's another good one. If you like that, you'll definitely like this. All right, so that's gonna wrap up my honorable mentions. I had some more in here, but I felt like I'm talking too long. Please make sure you put your top 5 animated live action, Netflix animated shows in the comments below, and whether it's my top 5 or my honorable mentions or the multitude of things I did not include on my list, make sure you put your top 5 in the comments below. And if it's the first time that you're on the channel, make sure you subscribe as well as click the notification button so that way you're aware of all the other top 5s that we do, and maybe Manny will be here for the next one. So for Manny sitting over here on the couch doing something, and Aspen not here, and Carla not here, and Art not here. Feels like nobody showed up to do these shows anymore. I'm Terrence, and you guys, and you guys take care.
Oh, real quick, if you're still here, because we do these into the video little blooper things. If you're still here, look down. There's a link here for Patreon. If you guys like the show, please give us money. Give us money. We'll take a penny. We'll take a nickel. We'll take a dime. We'll take $1. We have some stuff on there that we're giving away on Patreon if you do contribute, because trust me, we need help. We need help. We want to buy new equipment, and we need an editor. Somebody who doesn't have to stay up in the middle of the night. Or they don't have to stay up in the middle, but I won't have to do it. So please, down, patreon.com/thegoods. It's in the link. Please do it. We appreciate it. Top